The other day, Sayadaw explained that practicing Dhamma systematically is connected with the learning of the sublime teaching. In other words, practicing the Dhamma systematically is connected with learning the correct method. In order to learn the correct method, one should have faith and confidence on the one who teaches and guides the correct method. And also, one should have faith and confidence in the practice as well. So it means that learning of the correct method is connected with faith and confidence in the teacher who guides the way and also in the practice. Without having faith and confidence, it will not be possible. And Sayadaw has been explaining about the qualities, the virtues of the Buddha. And Sayadaw had explained briefly the virtues of the Buddha. The teachings given by such teacher, such as Buddha, such guidance and instruction definitely brings benefit. Because the Buddha understood very well what was beneficial and what was harmful, Buddha could guide the beings, the things that should be performed and the things that should be refrained. Buddha himself practiced this way. Buddha himself practiced this method, and Buddha totally eradicated all the actions that are harmful, and Buddha attained all the Dhammas that are beneficial. Having prudence, Buddha wanted beings to refrain from things that are harmful to the beings. With compassion, with great compassion, Buddha guided the way so that beings will not meet harm or suffering. So Buddha wanted to remove the suffering of beings. And also, Buddha wanted the beings to perform deeds that are beneficial to the beings. So this is connected with karuna, great compassion, and also with metta, loving kindness. Both metta and karuna, loving kindness and compassion, are involved when Buddha is giving guidance and instruction to the beings. So one should have faith and confidence that the guidance and instructions teaches things that are beneficial, and also it also shows what one should be refrained in order to avoid harm and suffering. So it is the Dhamma that the Buddha guided. Buddha gave the correct method of practice. It is called Dhamma. So there are 4 kinds of Dhamma. The first one is correct method of practice, which is called Dhamma. The other is the practice itself is also called Dhamma. What one attains by practicing is also called Dhamma. And the benefits one can make use of is also called Dhamma. And Sayadaw also explained that Dhamma has the qualities of uplifting, saving the practitioner who practices systematically, so that the person will not be inferior or degraded. So the practice is also Dhamma, and the benefits one attains by practicing is also called Dhamma. And Sayadaw will explain in detail, combining theory and practice. In the world, there are various kinds of beliefs and religions among the people. So, these religions and beliefs state that their God saves the being. They say their God is the Savior. So one should analyze whether they are really the Savior. So one should analyze whether they really guide the beings what is beneficial, whether they guide the beings the distinct, they explain distinctly between what is beneficial and what is not. One should also analyze whether they knew everything that should be known, whether they knew distinctly between what is right, what is wrong. And one should analyze whether they really have true loving kindness and compassion towards the being. Only if they know what is beneficial and what is not, but without compassion, one will not be able to guide the being. One will not be able to guide what is beneficial, what is harmful, without compassion on the being, and that person will not be a true savior. If one does not know distinctly between what is beneficial, what is not beneficial, then the person lacks knowledge. Even if that person has loving kindness, but he will not be able to guide others as he lacks knowledge. So in order to guide beings, both things are needed: knowledge, differentiating what is beneficial or not, and also compassion. Having compassion, having the knowledge, one will be able to guide others to perform things that are beneficial, and one will be able to guide others to refrain from things that are harmful. So in this way, one should analyze whether a kind of religion or belief really guides the being to differentiate between right or wrong. Whether it can really guide the being to perform wholesome deeds that are beneficial, to avoid unwholesome deeds that are not beneficial. So one should analyze whether these religions and beliefs are right or wrong. So it is very important. There is hidden meaning of the Dhamma that is explained in the text. It is said, Yathanusiddhaṃ Padipaccante Apayeca Vata Dukheca Apadamane Katva Darititi Dhammo. Yathanusiddhaṃ means according to the guidance and instruction given by the Buddha with great compassion. Padipaccante means the one who practice accordingly to the teaching of the Buddha. Apayeca means the lower existences. Vata Dukheca means the suffering that are caused by continuous rounds of physical and mental phenomena. Apadamane means causing not to fall, and Dariti means uplifting. So as a whole, it means that the Dhamma uplifts the person so that the person will not fall into the lower existences and the suffering of the round of physical and nama rupa phenomena. So the person is saved by the Dhamma. The Dhamma saved the person who practices according to the teaching of the Buddha. So Dhamma means to bear, to carry, or to uplift. So when one lifts up an object, the object does not fall down. In the same way, the Dhamma lifts the person so that the person will not fall into the lower existences and will not fall into the suffering of the realms. So the Dhamma also uplifts the person, saves the person, help, support, protect the person. So Dhamma has the meaning of uplifting, saving, helping, protecting, supporting the practitioner who practices according to the teaching. The Dhamma is 9 in category: the 4 path knowledge, 4 fruition knowledge, and Nibbana. And thus, Dhamma is 9 in category. In order to attain these 9 kinds of Dhamma, 4 path knowledge, 4 fruition knowledge, and Nibbana, without the correct method of practice, one cannot attain. So one needs to have priyati, learning of the scriptures. So combining 9 kinds of Dhamma together with the scriptures making up 10 kinds of Dhamma. So it is said that there are 9 categories of the Dhamma. In other way, together with the scriptures, it makes up 10 categories of the Dhamma. So Sayadaw gives an example. Someone who has an illness, in order to cure the illness, to regain one's health, one needs to see a physician. When seeing the physician, one should explain the symptoms of the illness. When the physician can diagnose what kind of illness it is, the physician will prescribe medicine, and also the physician will explain what to take, what to avoid. And for minor illnesses, even if the person does not see a doctor, but if one has the medicine, one should read the instruction, the indication of the medicine, how much the medicine should be taken, how many times a day, and what one should avoid when taking the medicine. So the person either has to take medicine prescribed by the physician, or if the person is taking the medicine according to the instruction, it is very important to follow the prescription and the indication, so that the person will be taking the correct dosage, the correct number of times, and one should take care to take the full course of medicine so that the illness will be cured. If the person does not take the medicine accordingly, then the illness will not be cured. If the illness will not be cured, the person will lose the happiness of good health. So if the person wants to be cured, the person needs to take the prescribed medicine according to the prescription given by the physician. And also, the patient should avoid things that should be avoided, and the patient should do things that are prescribed by the physician. Pariyatti, scripture, is compared to the prescription, or in other way, it is also compared to the indication how to take the medicine, how to take the Dhamma medicine. So there are defilements that has been following throughout the round of existences, that is lowering or degrading one's life. There are defilements such as ordinary form of lobha, greed, ordinary form of anger, aversion, hatred, delusion, and there can be also extreme form of defilements such as selfishness, aggression, ignorance, envy, jealousy. Such defilements are compared to illnesses. They are the mental illnesses that has been tormenting the person. If one cannot control, then one ends up committing wrongdoings by body, speech, and mind. When one indulges in one's defilements, one commits misconduct by body, speech, and mind. Entertaining these defilements, the person's mind is inferior, degraded, low. And by indulging in these defilements, when one commits wrongdoing, the person also becomes degraded and inferior. Committing wrongdoing, committing misconduct, the person is also disturbing the surrounding, so that the surrounding will also lose peacefulness. So throughout the round of existences, these defilements have been following, and these are degrading the person. These defilements are illnesses. In order to cure the defilement illnesses, one should learn the correct method of practice. So one should know the correct method of practice. One should learn the correct method. So that should be priyati. One should learn the method how to practice. Just as when the patient takes the medicine, the illness will be cured. In the same way, in order to cure the defilement illnesses, one should take sila medicine, morality medicine, samadhi medicine, concentration medicine, and panya medicine, wisdom medicine. By taking sila medicine, one can cure gross defilement. By taking samadhi medicine, one can cure mental illnesses that can arise in the mind. And by taking Vipassana Panya medicine, by taking insight knowledge medicine, one can remove the defilements momentarily. And when one takes Riya Magga medicine, path knowledge, one can uproot relative defilements. When one attains Riya Magga, path knowledge, one can remove certain kind of defilements, which are internal illness. By attaining path and fruition knowledge, one also attains Nibbana, which is free from all suffering. So by taking the three kinds of medicine, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, one can cure the defilement illness. So just as one needs to see a skillful physician in order to cure the illness, just as one needs to read the indication of the medicine in order to know how to take the medicine. And by taking the medicine accordingly to the prescription, one illness can be cured and one regains one's health. In the same way, one needs to learn the correct method of practice, how one should practice, and one should put it into practice. So learning the correct method of practice, one is bearing the Dhamma by learning the method of practice. Practicing accordingly, it is a way of bearing the Dhamma. And attaining by practicing is also bearing the Dhamma. And by practicing, when one gains the Dhamma, one will be able to make use of it. And it is also a way of bearing the Dhamma. And the person who learns the correct method of practice, who practices accordingly, who attains the Dhamma by practicing, who can make use of the Dhamma, is called a person who practices systematically. The defilements are worse than the physical illness. So the gross, medium and refined form of defilements that are many times worse than the physical illness should be removed. When one removes gross, medium and refined form of defilements, one gains happiness and peace. In order to practice to remove these defilements, one should learn the correct method of practice. In order to learn the correct method of practice, one should learn Priyati, one should learn the scriptures. The correct method of practice is mentioned in the scriptures taught by the Buddha. And in order to practice, one should learn especially Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Learning can be from hearing, from discussing how Satipatthana meditation should be practiced. And also one can read trustworthy books explaining how Satipatthana meditation should be practiced. So by learning, one will understand how Satipatthana meditation should be practiced. And one will know how the defilements, the mental illnesses can be cured. If one does not know the correct method of practice, one will be inferior and degraded. By learning the Priyati, by learning the correct method of practice from the scriptures, when one understands, when one has known the correct method, then one is uplifted. If one does not know the correct method of practice, one will be inferior. But as one has learned the correct method of practice, one becomes uplifted. So it is the Priyati, learning of the scripture, that uplifts the person from not knowing to knowing. So the Priyati, the knowledge of the correct method uplifts the person. So it is said that the Dhamma is uplifting the person. When the person learns the correct method, and when the person has the knowledge of the correct method of practice, then it is said that the person is uplifted by the Pariyati Dhamma. Apatamani Katva Dharititi Dhammo. When one does not know the correct method of practice, the person is inferior and degraded. When one learns the correct method, And when one has understood the correct method, the person becomes uplifted as the knower of correct method. So in this way, the Dhamma, the Priyati Dhamma, uplifts the person as the person had learned, had understood the correct method of practice. One is practicing Satipatthana meditation, and one should know what objects to be noted in the practice of Satipatthana. So Buddha said, the whole body is the object to be noted. Among the four fields of object to be noted, one should be noting the object that is presently arising. So the object that is presently arising is caused by its causes. So when the relative causes arise, it will generate the object. So the presently arising object has to be noted. So the teacher instructs the yogi to note the presently arising object that is arising at the present moment. And one should know hardness as hard, one should know softness as soft, one should know flowing as flowing, one should know stickiness as sticky, one should know stiffness as stiff, one should know tension as tense, one should know movement as movement. So knowing these hardness, stiffness, softness, stickiness, stiffness, tension, warmth, cold, heat, one is knowing Paramattha, the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality. But as one is noting the object, one should note in Suttanta way. If one is sitting, one should note it as sitting. When one is standing up, one should note it as standing. When bending, note it as bending. And when stretching, note it as stretching. When seeing, note it as seeing. When hearing, note it as hearing. So one should be noting the presently arising object that is fresh and new. And there should be ugaha. One should learn from the teacher what is rupa, materiality, what is nama, mentality, what is anicca, impermanent, what is dukkha, suffering, what is anatta, non-self. And if one is not clear, one should ask the teacher, one should discuss with the teacher. So it is called Paripuja. Having introduced with the teacher and the Dhamma talk sessions, one can learn what one should know as a yogi. It is called ugaha. One should learn. And also the teacher should explain to the students the facts that the yogi should know. And the yogis should learn how one should practice, how to note the object that is presently arising. And when one has learned how one should practice, then one should put this theory into practice. It is called samasana. If the yogi practices according to the guidance and instruction given, if the yogi practices properly according to the guidance and instruction, then the yogi will gain benefits, and the yogi will be able to make use of the Dhamma that he/she had attained by practicing. Learning the correct method of practice, one is bearing the Dhamma, and putting the theory into practice, practicing according to the guidance and instruction, one is bearing the Dhamma. Attaining the Dhamma by practicing is also called bearing the Dhamma. Making use of the Dhamma that one has attained is also called one is bearing the Dhamma. The Dhamma uplifting the practitioner, it will be more obvious when the person practices the Dhamma. Uplifting also means removing the unnecessary mental state. If one does not know the correct method of practice, one will not know how to practice, and the person is inferior and degraded. By learning the correct method of practice, when one gains the understanding, when one gains the knowledge how to practice, then one is removing not knowing. So in this way, one should remove not knowing by learning the correct method of practice. By gaining knowledge, one is removing not knowing. So the Dhamma has the quality of removing not knowing, and one is said to be bearing, practicing the Dhamma. And Sayadaw will continue to explain how one can bear the Dhamma by practicing. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.